All right, Matt here at Cafe Bienville, and today we're going to make a duck sandwich. This is a duck confit. We get whole ducks in and we marinate them in a cure for 3 days. Then we rinse off that cure because it's really salty and you don't want all of that in there. And then we poach that duck in its own fat for about 15 hours. And then we're going to store that duck in its fat so it's ready to serve when you come in, because nobody has a lot of time for lunch. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get a piece of bread, we're going to cut it, we're going to toast it. So I've got a piece of bread here, and this is baked for us in Fort Walton Beach. I'm going to cut it in half, just like that, put it in the oven. That bread's going to get nice and toasty. Well, my primary culinary influence is Louisiana food, and I did spend some time in Baton Rouge. I've been studying some of the great Louisiana chefs for a very long time, long before I ever moved to Baton Rouge. But beignets are a great New Orleans tradition, something that's very popular across the Gulf Coast. We spent a lot of time perfecting our recipe for beignets, and we like to think that they're a really good draw for us for the breakfast crowd. The weekend crowd. It's nice to kick back with a cafe au lait and some beignets. They're a fresh yeast dough. We mix it here. We cook them to order. They're covered in ridiculous amounts of powdered sugar. And the chicory coffee is roasted for us by Destin Coffee Company, and then we blend it ourselves with a roasted chicory to get just the right flavor for that chicory coffee. So when you order a cafe au lait and beignets here, it's truly our blend of chicory. There's a lot of influences in Louisiana food, and one of them is Italian, so I make my own gelato here. It's from the old 16th century recipes, so it's just eggs, milk, sugar, and the flavoring that we're going to put in it. So we make garden mint gelato with real mint leaves. We use a Ghirardelli 65% chocolate for our chocolate and for our white chocolate almond bark. The cookie dough gelato is a nice brown sugar vanilla gelato with a house-made raw cookie dough mixed in. And then the vanilla is a vanilla bean. Those are actual vanilla beans that we steep and make a tea out of, and then we blend that into the gelato. And we freeze it in small batches. We try to keep up with it, but if your favorite flavor isn't here, it just means that we got to make some fresh tomorrow. And you have to come back and get it right out of the churn. We do a lot of things with gelato. We can do, there's an Italian drink called the affogato. It's a scoop of gelato in a big coffee cup, and you brew espresso right over the top of that. So you get the sweet and the bitter and the hot and the cold all in one delicious package. The nitro coffee, we do a cold brew dark roast Colombian that we then keg and infuse it with nitrogen, and then we serve it on tap through a stout faucet, so it looks like a Guinness draft. That can also be done as a float. So we'll pour you a glass of the nitro coffee, icy cold, lightly frothy, with a nice scoop of vanilla gelato on top of that. All right, so our bread is nice and toasty here. I'm going to make sure this is not rolling around too much. I've got a red pepper aioli. This is roasted garlic, roasted red peppers, and our house mayonnaise. I'm going to put this on both sides of the bread here. I'm going to put some fresh field greens on here, just a nice layer to cover up that aioli on the bottom. And then we're going to put some tomatoes on there. Put a couple of nice ripe tomatoes on there. And this is 4 ounces of our duck confit. Like I said, we store this in its own fat, so it retains all that juiciness and all that great flavor from the duck fat right up until you're ready to order it. And we're going to put a few shaved red onions right on the top of that. I'm going to cover this up at an angle here, move it to the plate, and just to hold it together, we're going to put a little pick in it there. Just a little sprinkle of parsley to make it look pretty. There is the duck confit sandwich.